Thank you, Charisse, for those kind words. And I, hi. um, it's always, I guess, it's always a challenge coming up here to see what it is that God wants to share, because in that way, you kind of have to be aware of what's around you, be aware of yourself, because most of the times, the message that He brings is something that is going on with, or not going on, but things that you realize about yourself and how you can change it. And so, at my workplace, I work as an RMT, or massage therapist, so I'm working with the body. And at one of my workplaces, they asked each of us employees to write a little blurb about ourselves, something that people can read about us before they come and see us so that they know who's treating them. And for my blurb, I mentioned that I was always active because I was playing sports and I love doing outdoor activities, and that's why I became interested in the human body and how it worked. So I went to university for kinesiology, which is the study of the human body and movement. and then I ended up studying massage. And when I was in massage school, we had anatomy class. And in that class, we went over every muscle and every bone in the body, and then the major nerves and arteries. And our instructors gave us little, like, did you know facts or interesting facts whenever they came across something. And so, my question to you is, what would you guys say is one of the important body parts? The brain? Yes, definitely. The heart, of course. Without the brain or the heart, we wouldn't be able to function. We wouldn't be able to breathe. Another one? Skin is very important, yes, because through that, we are able to release like the toxins through. Now I'm scared of what I say if I'm getting it wrong. But it's a very important organ for us because that's how we get nutrients and release nutrients as well, or with like sweat as well to release the toxins. But what else would you guys say about the pinky toe? Would, you wouldn't think of anything, but the pinky toe. It's actually important because it helps you with balance. What about your elbow? Would you guys say your elbow is important? That's a cheat answer. You can't say everything's important. Everything is important. With the knee and the elbow, if you didn't have your elbow, you won't have the range to reach and grab without the elbow. What about your belly button? It's important when you're a fetus in your mom's body, but after that, it's just in your tummy. What about your thumbs? You can't drink your cup of... Yeah, you can't do that. John would be struggling every morning to not have his coffee if he had no thumbs. Oh, you can tell us about that, John. I'm kidding. Hair is important, but what about your eyebrows? Aside from making you look good, your eyebrows, if you don't have eyebrows, when you're showering or if you're in the rain, the water will go straight over your eyes. Same thing with the eyelashes. They help keep out debris, right? It's like another defense for you. And what about your tongue? Oh, the tongue. Yeah, the tongue is important as well because it has to do with your taste. You can taste with it. You are able to swallow, and you're able to communicate. You can talk. And interesting fact of the tongue, it's a muscular organ because it's made up of actually 8 different muscles, 4 of which is so that you can control the tongue. And the other 4 is like outside. It attaches to your tongue so you can position it, so that you can stick your tongue out, you can swallow, you can move it, your jaw back and forth, side to side. And for the tongue, would you say it's easy or hard for you to control it? It's hard? Because some people, and Mike is one of them, it's hard. You can't move your tongue. You can't twist it. Can you twist your tongue? Can you make a loop with it? Can you touch your nose with it? I can't do it. I can't do that. Well, it's for some people it's easy, and some people it's hard to control the tongue. But even more so, the tongue is important because of speech, because of communication and what you say and do. And for some of us, and like as we said, speaking is a big form of communication. And for some of us, we say things before we speak, or we think a lot before we speak. I do that. I think too much. Or sometimes we speak while we're thinking. We're talking out loud and we're like, oh, I take that back. I don't say that. That's whatever. And then there are a few common phrases that have to do with speaking. And Daniel actually said one this morning. I forgot which one. Bite your tongue, hold your tongue, something like that. But there's the phrases of like, holding your tongue. I'm going to bite my tongue. I'm going to hold back what I say. Oh, I had like the tongue in my cheek. I don't want to say something. Oh, it was a slip of the tongue. I didn't mean to say it, but I said it. And then, when you say someone has a sharp tongue, it's because they're quick with their remarks, whether it's good, but mostly like bad. And so, the Bible, I named mine to say, be wise with your words. And so let me ask you again, is it easy or hard for you to control your tongue? Because when I was asking you before, it was control, but like maneuvering your tongue. But now it's controlling your tongue with what you say. Yeah. So the Bible has a lot to say about the tongue. And in James, I'll just paraphrase what he says, but he mentions about how dangerous the tongue can be. And for such a small body part, it's like that bit in the horse's mouth with the rein so you can control it to go left and right. Or it's like the rudder of a ship. It steers you in one direction with just a little change in your degree. And he compares it to a small spark that's like a fire that can cause a big forest fire. And with our worshiping this morning, he also mentions that with our tongue, we can be hypocrites, because out of the same tongue, we're praising our God, our Lord and Father, and at the same time, we're cursing the people around us. And so we have to be careful about our tongue, the things that we say and how we say it. And there's a lot of importance placed on it in the Bible. And so, think of a time when you've had an experience where something someone said either made your day, like, wow, it made your day, made a huge difference. Or it did the other part, and it made it the rest of your day like bad. It just changed the mood of your day. That's how strong one simple word can do to us. And so King Solomon was the wisest person, and he observed a lot about the tongue. And he noticed that it can do many things, such as building up people, inspiring people. It can also tear down people, and it can also destroy people. In the Proverbs, the tongue, this is in the Proverbs, the tongue is mentioned, and it says that it has the power of life and death, and it should be guarded, and it should be controlled. Fools are people who speak without thinking, and they destroy others. And what they do is they bring strife or conflicts. And then he compares them to the wise. And then with them, they have what comes out of their mouths are harsh, perverse, foolish, and evil words that tears down the soul. But in comparison, the wise, they hold their tongues. They hold back what they have to say. And because of that, they find favor with the people around them. What they say brings healing, and they're able to preserve their lives. They stay out of trouble because they don't say anything. And they use it to defend others, to speak up for those. And so the words that come out of their mouths are gentle, gracious, kind words that are like food to the soul. You know that saying, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. And gracious words are sweet to the soul, and a kind word cheers up the heart. Those are some of the verses that are in Proverbs. So I can share some times, like for me. When I worked in U-Haul is a moving truck company. You deal with a lot of people, a lot of stressed people because it's moving day and they have to move out or move in within a certain timeline. And sometimes we were overbooked and we did not have the trucks or trailers, and we did, without others, or hopefully the customers didn't see, fight for those keys. Like we rushed, we made eye contact and we would run to get the keys before each other. But you get some customers who were very gracious, and then you had some customers who took out their anger on you. And one guy in particular, most of the time I don't let words get to me because it's not personal. I know they're stressed. But there was this one guy, and he was directing it to me, about me, when I was at the counter and I'm trying to help him and serve him. Like, how can I help you? He was the rudest person, downplaying, downgrading me, saying and making comments. And he was a big guy and a very loud voice and saying, "Oh, stupid woman, girls don't know what you're doing." Just very, I don't know what the word is, misogynistic? Like he just degraded women, and just, you could tell, like he was, anyways. But it made me really angry. It made me really hurt. And I'm not a confrontational person. And being Christian, I was like, you can't be mad. So I'm just trying to be like, "Excuse me, sir, how can I do this? Da da da." And he's just laughing at me. "Look at her. She doesn't even get mad. What a stupid one." Blah, blah, blah. Anyways, that one was that was the only experience that I've had with that. And it was just, I don't know how people can do that. Be the ones to say and act that way and see how it, and take joy in how it affects the people. And I also don't know how people can take that if they're the ones on the receiving end. So one of the experiences for me growing up in high school that changed the way that I spoke with people. I think we all go through this time when we're teenagers where we're just mad or we just have attitude, and it's just, I don't know what it is. We're just, everything bothers us and we just want to be left alone, or we're just, I don't know. We just have an attitude. Our brains are growing. But I remember this one time, I guess I did it for a while, or I did it more so than usual. My mom came into my room and was asking me to do something or saying something, and I just say like, "Whatever, mom, blah, 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 blah." I gave her an attitude. And then she looked at me and she said, "Why are you so nasty? That hurts." Oh, my heart dropped because I could also see that look in her eyes. But after that, it made me realize, like, whoa, what kind of attitude do I have, and am I putting it towards the people around me, and especially, like, your families. And since then, because of that comment my mom made, she doesn't know this, she's not here, so she'll never know either. But because of that comment, it changed the way that I speak to people, to make sure I say it in a loving way, and if it's hard for me, at least peaceably, at least be neutral with each other. And so those were just some examples, but in it you can see that words can affect our emotions. The things that we say in the heat of the moment, we can't take them back, and if we do, damage is already done. It affects our relationships, that relationship with my mom, or even like with friends, if you or others, depending what you say. It can affect our careers. You can think of all the celebrities or politicians, or maybe someone they said something and it cost them their job. And words can affect other people, especially if you're in a higher position. Like, I think recently, Prime Minister Trudeau made a comment about the Indian government, and then that made a big conflict between the Indian and Canadian government. And I had coworkers saying that they couldn't go visit India without their Indian citizenship because of what happened. So some of the common sins related to the tongue mentioned to the Bible, and I put them in a list, and these were the different types, but I'll just quickly go over them. And as I do, you can think about the thing about the Bible is it's a way for God to show yourself to you. So as I'm reading this, are these things that we do? Gossiping. When you're talking behind people's back or spreading confidential information or hurtful information to others. It talks about idle chatter. So when you're talking nonsense or saying too much unnecessary things. When you're lying and exaggerating, with lying, you're intentionally deceiving someone. You're doing it on purpose. But with exaggerating, you're still not being honest, but you're just embellishing everything. Flattering in the way that you're giving lip service. So what you're saying is still lies, and you're trying to curry favor with others. Boasting, when you're too much pride about yourself, and sometimes it's at the cost of others. Slandering, damaging someone else's reputation. Talks about the quarreling tongue. Someone who attacks others, or they like to provoke others. They're looking to pick fights. And cursing, when you're wishing harm against the other person. It even talks about a rash tongue, speaking before getting all the facts, just talking without thinking. And the things like rash decisions. When have we made a rash decision that was good? And now think of the rash things that you say. And the other one, too, is actually being silent, not saying anything. Because you're not warning others, you're not defending others. But in the Bible, it also tells you how you can do the opposite. And sometimes in the verses, it tells you do this instead of this. So instead of gossiping, speak well of others. Is this what we do? Instead of doing idle chatter, have a meaningful conversation. Instead of exaggerating and lying, tell the truth. You'll have integrity. Instead of boasting, be humble and acknowledge others for what they did, or boast about the other people. Instead of slandering and, taking people down with your words, encourage them. Say encouraging things about them. Instead of quarreling, reconcile. Instead of cursing, bless them. Instead of being rash, be thoughtful. And instead of being silent, stand up and speak up. Speak out for others. So, if you think of how the past week went, or even just how yesterday went, if you listened to a recording of the conversations you had, what would you be hearing? And sometimes I don't know if I want to do that. I might be scared of what I hear because we all like to think we're good, but we all have our problems, right? Our faults, our things that we need to work on. So our mouths can get us in a lot of trouble. And Jesus' instructions for us is really simple, really. It's to speak with integrity so that our yes is yes, our no is no, nothing more, nothing less. And bless those who curse us, because in that way, you won't be doing all those bad words. And you'll be loving the other person and building them up and doing all those good use of words. And so the hardest words to say are, I'm sorry, I forgive you, I need help, or asking for help, help me. And usually when it comes to saying those things, you get like a big, like, ooh. Like it's hard to build yourself up to say those. And the thing is, when you do, how much relief do you get from it? That hold it has on you. Sometimes some of us, if we hold on to stuff, we get physically sick. We get emotionally, definitely spiritually, because we're not right with God. And how much relief do we get when we say those words? And also when we hear those words. When we're saying, I'm sorry, that means you're admitting that you did something wrong. It's like you're admitting a weakness. You're putting down your pride. You're being vulnerable. It takes humility to say that. It takes vulnerability. If you think about it, it also takes trust, because the person you're saying it to, you're trusting, hoping that they won't react in a negative way. But in that same way, it's also like it needs love, because you're saying it because you want to mend relationships, or you're thinking of the other person. And it is easy to say, but hard to do, because it's hard to bring that up. Actually, this past week I didn't have enough sleep, so I was grouchy. And I had a grouchy attitude. And then I had sleep and I was good. But I did kind of give Mike somewhat of a cold shoulder. And I did bring it up last night. And I meant to say, I'm sorry. But I didn't. I implied it. I did say what happened, like how I'm telling you guys. And I meant to be like, I'm sorry for my attitude. But I didn't. So really, I'm sorry. Because without saying I'm sorry, telling him all those things and me telling you I had a grouchy attitude is just an excuse. And I'm saying those things to excuse myself of those actions. And really, I didn't apologize to you. I'm doing it now. With all that trust. Putting you on the spot. But if you think about it, if we don't say we're sorry, we're just making the excuses for why we said what we did and why we behaved. We're not really putting out that fact that I am sorry for what I did to you. And the other word, saying I forgive you, means that you're acknowledging their apology. You're letting go of that hold you have over them. Some people, they're like, you did this to me, and like they hold that over them. You're letting go of that. You're giving them a clean slate. And also, you're letting go of whatever you're feeling. You're letting go of that because you're releasing it. You're releasing the thoughts and emotions that you've held on to. And forgiving them opens up the door to reconciliation. And that's you doing your part by saying, I'm sorry and I forgive you. And if it's both people saying that, reconciliation. Relationships are fixed or being fixed. And saying I forgive you is the same thing. It takes humility. It takes vulnerability. It takes patience if you're the one waiting for someone to say I'm sorry. It takes mercy to say I forgive you. And it takes love because you want to help them let go. It's helping you let go. It's taking love for yourself and the other person. The other one that's hard, I need help. Help me. It's not a weakness asking for help, but a strength. Because what you're doing is you're admitting you don't have the ability to do it. And what you're doing is you're putting your need before your pride. I think this is harder for guys to do than for women. What it does is it takes humility. It takes trust that, you're kind of being vulnerable to other people. I need help. Can you help me with this? And you're trusting them to take care of you. And in a church setting, it allows fellowship as well, because it brings our attention from our needs, our situations. It brings what we need help with. It brings our attention to a God who is capable. It teaches us to depend on Him and that He is trustworthy. It teaches us to depend on others, and it gives us a chance to be Christ to one another in our times of needs. When we ask for help, we are able to receive help from others, and we're also able to give those people the chance to be the hands and feet of Jesus to us. It gives us a way to be involved with one another. And so, as Christians, our conduct reflects Jesus. So we should be mindful of the words that we say and how we say them, and also of what we don't say. And we should use our words wisely and with purpose to build relationships, to restore relationships, and to share knowledge and wisdom with each other. Like, hey, this is how you should be. This is what you can do. And the thing is, it starts from the inside, because it's a whole old habits. It's hard for us to do that. We need to renew our mind. And as the Bible says, we put away our old selves and put on the righteousness of God. We let God work on us and in us. And what we're doing is we take up our cross and we sacrifice ourselves, our wants, our desires, what we want to say and how we want to say things. And we learn to hold our tongue, be humble, say things with love, with mercy. And so as it comes down to, the things that we say comes from our heart. And what Jesus says is that a good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart. And an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. And then he also goes on, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. And that's what Paul was writing in the letter to the Ephesians. Or as another way, an evangelical Christian pastor, Pastor Chuck Swindoll, said, "We need to think of our tongue as a messenger that runs errands for our heart. Our words reveal our character." So, how do we use words and speak in a way that is effective and honors God? How should we speak to others? I'm not going to say it. I will let the Bible say it. And we can read with each other because it's long. But now you must also rid yourselves of such things as these: anger, rage, malice, slander, and filthy language from your lips. Do not lie to each other. Since you have taken off your old self with its practices and have put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge in the image of its creator. Here there is no Gentile or Jew, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave or free, but Christ is all and is in all. And again, therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly beloved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. And over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. And so as a church, what can we do for each other? How can we build each other up? And these are things that we can do with what we say. So now we ask you, brothers and sisters, to acknowledge those who work hard among you, who care for you in the Lord, and who admonish you. Hold them in the highest regard and love because of their work. Live in peace with each other. And we urge you, brothers and sisters, warn those who are idle and disruptive. Encourage the disheartened. Help the weak. Be patient with everyone. Make sure that nobody pays back wrong for wrong, but always strive to do what is good for each other and for everyone else. Rejoice always. Pray continually. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. So, the first one is how we can encourage each other. The other part is us and how we use our words with God. We rejoice, pray, and give thanks. And that is how we honor God with our lips. If we acknowledge, if we warn, if we encourage, if we help, if we're patient with each other and we strive to do good, that is how we can help each other. So this week, I encourage you, pray to God to guard your mouth and the words that come out of your mouth. Pray to God to show you how you speak to yourself and others. And practice building others up every day. Whether it's acknowledge someone, hey, you did a good job doing this. If you're warning them, hey, be careful the way that you're doing something. Encourage them. Hey, you know what? It's going to be okay. Rejoice. So share with each other and be like, oh, thank goodness, thank God. Pray for one another and give thanks. So, yeah. And I think you'll be surprised what God reveals to you. And you'll see how building others up every day can affect you and them and just make relationships or getting along with people a lot easier, a lot better. You'll see the difference that it makes. And yeah, so I hope that you guys will be wise with the words that you say. Thank you.
Thank you, Eleanor, for that beautiful message, practical, and a great reminder of all the things that we can do. Last night before bed, I was actually praying that God puts more words in my mouth that I can say. So it's like a very specific prayer. So that was interesting to hear her talk about that. So before I call Mitra to give us the closing and blessing us off with a closing benediction, I just want to announce again. So Miriam and Reza are doing new believers. I keep saying newcomers, new believers class. It's going to be in person. If you're interested, please let Reza or Miriam know, and they will give you the details as they go. So we hope to have that started by the next month, and that would be all for that one. Also, we're having a Secret Santa. So how it works is if you want to participate, we're going to pull in money together, and then we're going to split that money up among the participants. We're going to use that money, and we're going to purchase a gift here at the Christmas market, which is happening on December 2nd. So we encourage all of you to participate at our Christmas market, and also our Secret Santa, so that we can give each other gifts from the Christmas market. Oh my gosh, this is from the Christmas market, and we can also support the locals who are going to be selling their arts, their crafts, and also the artists that's gonna be there. More details on that next week. Also, in terms of the pooling of the cash, please bring your cash next week, and we'll collect all of it, and then we'll split it next week after Testimony Sunday. And next week is Testimony Sunday, so that's another announcement. Testimony Sunday, and we're also gonna wrap up the Christmas decorations. We're gonna put up the Christmas tree as we do every year, and also some other decorations around, so that we can prepare for Christmas. And we're going to have a special Christmas service on the 24th. So we invite you, and we ask you to invite as many people as you can, one for our Christmas market, and also our Testimony Sunday and our Christmas Day special. So again, Secret Santa, participate. We're going to purchase gifts at the Christmas market on December 2nd. And then that would be all for today's announcement. Prayers every Sunday, also 9:30 a.m. For those who needs prayers or who have any specific prayers, please let Mitra or myself know until Janet comes back. We're not going to say her name. So Mitra and myself. And also